called Uganda, cassava can be more expensive than bread.
Kunda. Really?
Yes. We don't grow cassava. I come from Kisoro. We don't grow cassava. When I see cassava,
so when you see cassava, you are like you are seeing bread.
Yes. It's I have so the point is if I know more about Irish potatoes because those ones are very available or emboli. But the point is it's just showing someone who is not in sync with reality about what levels of where people are in Uganda. There are communities in Uganda where they eat cassava every day, for breakfast, for lunch, and for supper. You go to West Nile, they eat it in Katogo, they eat it with odi, then they eat it in the evening and with a cup of tea. So for them to tell them about eating cassava, it's like you're telling them...
Continue with your life.
Exactly. They look at you and say,
what is this?
What is he saying?
Yeah.
So it's the inability to understand and be able to analyze the problems of where we are economically. I think the biggest problem that we have had, if you look at the things that have hurt many Ugandans, it's not the cost of fuel raises the price of other goods, because if I'm going to get matoke from Isinjiro, I have to hire a vehicle. If that vehicle was using 50 liters at 3,000, now it's using 50 liters at 5,000. So the price goes up and I have to recoup my prices by putting it on the final consumer.
So as we go ahead, for me this is how I perceive. Can we say that Uganda is not the script on which the government solves issues is to create comment. It is not to create serious debates. That in Uganda here, if something is roaming and every person is looking for solution, the way to quench that is to bring out something comic so that people run out with that. Now, after the time President spoke about muoga and cassava, every person has made it a comedy. No. And now people are forgetting the subject matter that the head of state needs to give us a solution.
No, but you know, Samuel, it's not that. It's not that. It's that Ugandans now have a means by which they can, so to say, power scorn on something that is not serious. Because now I saw they have created what is called Kampala fried cassava, KFC, right? Kampala fried cassava, and it's a comedy all over the continent. I have received it from Nigeria, I've received it from Tanzania.
Yeah.
Simply because our president is saying, even Americans rating me and say, you mean your president can say something like this? Now, it comes on the heels, not only the president, even his wife at one point said that children should get food flasks in order for them to quench the hunger that they face when they're at school. Food flask, a child doesn't even have food, and you're telling the child that they should get a food flask.
It doesn't have the food to put in the food flask.
But you said that he should buy a food flask. How much is a food flask? How many people in Bupa-Dengo can buy a food flask?
Even in homes.
So the point is, I think because of the nature in which the president and his first family have lived, they have cushioned themselves against the vagaries of us, the poor. They don't understand how poor people live.
I can't understand. I can't believe that. That they are so much disconnected from the poor world. I
mean, have you ever been to northern Uganda?
Yeah.
You go to northern Uganda and you tell a person that cassava is everything that everybody thinks about on a daily basis. Cassava is the staple food of everything they eat. So to tell me that, and most of those same people who eat cassava on a daily, they don't eat bread. They don't have money to buy bread. So you are telling them that if you can't get bread, eat cassava. Is that an alternative? In economics, instead of eating matoke, you eat kalo. Now you are telling them instead of eating cassava, eat cassava.
But in other words, I want us to leave the cassava talk this way. You know, when you are speaking about the head of state, you must be so much cautious. But
No, conscious, but he's the head of state. He's our president.
The cassava discussion. Can we so much...
Samuel, if we don't speak about the head of state, who do we speak about?
Yeah, let me complete statement. The president speaking about that, for me I took it as when we were trying studying literature, there are questions we call rhetorical questions.
Yes. That
doesn't need an answer, but you have a purpose why you pose it out, and there are some statements you speak, and for me I cannot say it is a representation. That statement is a representation of his mind. I can't believe that. How Ugandans have believed that the president, out of the solutions, he gave us this. I'm one of the Ugandans who can say that.
He wasn't speaking about it because he was forced. He was speaking about it because he was conscious of what he was saying. First of all, you need to know there is a very good, excellent communicator, a person who understands what he says like Museveni. I have covered him extremely. He knows what he's saying. He can't say something that he hasn't thought about. So for him to say that, he could have innocently wanted to portray something different. But like you are quoting literature, I'm a very deep literature student. It means then you are inconclusively saying things which are in your mind. Like your subconscious is telling you that actually the best solution for the hunger in this country is to tell people. And I agree with him. Cassava is a very good food that can help quench hunger to many people. How many people in Uganda eat bread?
There are few.
There are very few. How many people afford tip-top? How many people hot loaf or how? Because for many people, bread is a luxury. Breakfast is muogo or emboli and some tea or porridge. So, but the reality is when you are given that statement from the fountain of honor, the person who is supposed to be telling you
the last
word, or the person who is supposed to tell you we are going to be able to intervene in this economy and give you subsidies so that you can at least make some money and we get food and people are, the moment you say it in that nature, people take it as being partly arrogant. Yes.
Oli ku Baba TV, neno TV obache bazinga ninze Samuel Mwesigwa. Ku ntandikwa ya saasire eno abatategere kuwako ifa president yavaayo yakoba nti abana Uganda mamulemererwa okulya ya migati muje mulye muwogo. Era nakudi nombera ne ba minister mpostinga ku Twitter nga muli ku luguudo muli gula muwogo. Many people ababirenga tubatero na kupostinga. Like Uganda okusolvinga ekizibu. Ndi wabawe ekizibu eky'amaanyi okwikaikanya ibugumu tuletawo ekintu ekisesa twekonsolinga bwekonsolinge onakoledo retired conductor Kizza Besigye yabeerawo ku kitebe kya Jema nga alina gwali kwogera ku ansa Nseino akoba ati aidaba kinyasinira munku like nti Uganda is the ebizibu bya Uganda to be solving with the comedy and we to let out something comic abana Uganda baikaikana. And still in literature, the context is ekizibu ky'abana Uganda kyakulya. And when you look at the best commodities that have skyrocketed, we have soap, sabuni tipamulya. Okay, we have sugar, it is 40, and food. America tiyona enini because of the transport and the chain of business. Jokobenti when fuel is like this. Every price is this. But you find that the best, the most we must look at now, it is fuel. When we touch fuel, we never individually kula. And it's like the government is not, it doesn't want to hit on the main issue. It is trying to bring a comedy, beating by the bush so that we can forget the talk. Can we say that now, as Ugandans, we are desperate to look for our own solutions?
Let me tell you, I follow Africa and international politics very closely. Hosni Mubarak, the president of Egypt, was overthrown because of bread. Mugati, there was a shortage of bread in the country. And unfortunately, the one who was having the franchise for marketing and selling of bread in Egypt was his wife, Sarah Mubarak. Okay? Now, Tunisia, a government fell because someone was protesting against lack of food. al-Bashir in Sudan, Khartoum, fell because of bread. In those countries, if the price of bread goes up by even 1%, the entire political establishment has a problem. The entire political establishment, both military and, and the civilian government. That is why you find that the civilian government, the military is entrenched into the economic activities of those countries that I have mentioned. Now,
because of their history.
Yes, because if you touch one and you mess it up, then even the government will be overthrown. Now, I was asked a question recently that would this happen in Uganda? I said no.
Why?
It can't happen because Ugandans, you have, even at the prices that we are exhibiting with the increase in fuel and the increase in international management of economies and the fighting between Ukraine and Russia, Uganda is the only country in the world where you can have food without having money.
You can get food
without having money. I can walk in your garden and I pick a mango and you'll say it's okay.
But not all areas in the country have areas. They don't have those places you can pick food.
No. What I'm saying, the food is cheap. Secondly, is that we have a population which are not that. If we can't get too hungry to cause a revolution. I can bet, Samuel, you can't be on the streets demonstrating for 3 weeks.
We don't have that anger, we don't have that zeal, or we don't have the capacity.
No, you don't have the gravitas. You don't have the staying power.
What does it take?
You have too much comfort zones. You will say, I'm going to the streets, it's going to be, how about my children? Will they have food? Then, I have to go and see my friends in Ntinda or Kafunda. No, I can't. So that's why you find that Besigye is doing that comedy. He's doing that comedy simply because to explain that we have a population of people who are, we are so laid back. Anything that we get is what we are told, and we accept it, and we move forward.
Was it a political move so that they build such? Moyo was trying to look at that. Again, for me, what I look at, what can block Ugandans in doing such, is desperation, and that is fear. And that fear might have been created by someone, that when you do this, everything shall be done, shall be finished.
If people have decided to do certain things, if people want to do a certain change, they give up fear. But the point is, most Ugandans are in comfort zones. That's why you'll see when you have elections, on the day of elections, majority of the elites, me and you, we take it as if it's a public holiday. They don't go to vote.
They will do their work.
They'll be at home, enjoying and watching on TV and say, hey, this is so kuja. They will not go to vote. They don't want to line up. They don't feel. And that is the problem of saying, then why do you complain at the end about the results that you didn't participate in? Because then they are the people whose pockets are touched because they pay tax.
And someone will say, however much I go, as if my effort shall not be visible. Because I'm one person who so much engaged in covering those political events, and on the D-Day, recently, on the last elections, if I'm to observe, maybe in other parts, but in Kampala here, some people, a good number of them, stayed back home.
Yeah, true. That's what I'm telling you.
And the streets were empty.
Yes.
Homes were locked.
Yes.
And I visited one. They are my friend and said, wow, it's the elections day. Why are you here? And said, even though we go or we don't go,
the results are known.
The other person told me, they have the results. They are going to So you people, you are trying to pass time and make events move. Is that kind of state, and even at a time of making decisions, Ugandans feel like they don't have power to make decisions. And when the problems comes, maybe that's why they don't have so much hope in those leaders.
What happens is that because people become indifferent, you become you distance yourself from the electoral process. So in most cases, people see the electoral process as foregone. The Electoral Commission is going to announce XYZ as the winner. The result is going to be 58% or anything around there, 55%.
Above average.
Above the 51, so that the person wins. So people become, what is the word? They become, they sneer. They sneer at the electoral process and say that this electoral process, the answer is foregone. That's why you hear people say that for elections in Uganda, it's not the voting that matters. It is the one who counts the votes. Okay? The one who counts the votes is the one who matters, not the one who casts the vote.
Otherwise, let us leave that part. So my point was, we had high hopes in the presidential address, because we expected that on Labor Day, and when they were at Koruru in caucus, he destined talk about the solution for the prices and what. Now we have had. Are we like, we don't have any more hope? And what can we do? Are we desperate to look for new solutions?
You see, our economy is intricately related to the state. What I can think of is that most probably the president is going to come back after seeing that the backlash that has come from the address, which people expected that it would have, been like what Uhuru Kenyatta did in Kenya, where he went and addressed and said, you know what, we are going to give you reprieve, we are going to give you subsidies on fuel so that you people, and we are going to increase. He actually, for him on Labor Day, increased the salaries of civil servants by 12%.
As demanded here.
So yes, and here it was demanded, but nothing was done. So the question is then the same thing that was done by President Kagame in Rwanda, in which he said fuel, the government is going to put in its own money so that we can get a fuel which is subsidized in order for us to run the business, get food from up country. And so I'm hoping that the president will get another occasion in which he can come and expound on so that the drama that you have been describing of people turning cassava into a drama can be changed into something that is very much serious, and explain and be able to make sure that at least the economy, we are speaking about the economy, about economic things, not fancy top bread cassava things which are not addressing the core problems that we are facing as an economy.
But I basically tried to look at maybe Ugandans love such comedy.
No,
because we couldn't demand for real talk. When we had that, and every person ran out with that.
You see, the thing is that Ugandans, they don't have, they are very cynical. They are very cynical, cynical people, extremely very cynical. So they look at everything and they want to turn it into drama. And make
to console themselves.
To console themselves, because they have nothing they can do. So that one was a very good drama for them, and I'm hoping that. But me and you, as people who studied literature and journalism, that one we call it a feedback. If you can't get that drama, it is giving you feedback on exactly what next you should say and what you should think before you say it.
Okay, edasiika abiri na itaano kuwera abiri na mukaaga okusawa 8 dokuncha okuona olwaleero president tukakusuubira and the government, the head of state, as the government betwawa mandate tukabasuubira with the solution of this embeera ediwo olingirira amafuta okuniina buli kimu kiniinye nti ojja mu eddwaliro obwiddandabi bwaniina aye ng'omuntu ne business yakolera azire sente, so you find nti shine etuuka obulamu nga buli muntu bujamuniga. Kunda akoba nti embeera ebaawo Abannayuganda batuuka akaseera nga obatamu kwawa akaseko akanabasesa nti baira ku Twitter baira ku Facebook bakola content wa TikTok ngo na kulya mwogo natusana okujja ku mubotalo obundi nga mwoga aweereyo. And I said, wow. So ekigambo kya president kijinge kya marketing the product kampumule mwoko ndikwira otavao.